Alright boys, welcome back to the video. Today we're taking a look at my new most favourite premium to hate in War Thunder, the Macabre Mark III Raam Segol. This thing is not great, I'm not going to lie to you, but let's not blow my load straight away. Let's get into the video. So this is going to cost you 60 British pounds, which is around $70 I guess. For that money you get the tank, 20 days of premium time and 2,500 golden eagles. Is it worth £60? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? Anyway, the Raam Segol currently sits in the 7th rank of the Israeli tech tree at battle rating 11.0 for arcade, realistic and simulator. It's currently the only rank 7 premium, meaning it can be used to grind out the 3 rank 8 Israeli tech tree tanks, the Macabre Mark IV-M, the Mark IV-B and the Mark IV LIC, with every other vehicle being able to be grinded out by any other premium. The Raam Segol is basically a copy and paste of a Macabre Mark III with additional side protection and some minor visual changes. You have two loadout options really, or two lineup options, sorry. The first is at battle rating 11.0 with the two Macabre Mark IIIs and a selection of casts. I personally use the Kafir Canard as it's a premium that I do own. You could also take the Canas, the 11.0 one, the F4E copy. This has 4 GBU-8, which are fantastic air-to-ground munitions. You could also take the tank up to battle rating 11.3, which is what I do personally. Here I run it with the Macabre Mark IV-B and its fantastic M338 AP FSDS round, equivalent to DM53. At battle rating 11.3, you can also take out more advanced close air support in my opinion. I personally use the Kafir C7 as it is a lot faster and gets access to a lot of dumb bombs, but we do get a CCIP so it can be quite accurate. You could also take out the Canas 2000, which does get a targeting pod, as well as 4 GBUs I believe. The helicopters for battle rating 11.3 is also pretty good as well. You have a choice between the Apache or the AH-60 with its 16 spike missiles. I know what I'll be choosing. So lads, is it worth paying 60 hard-earned British pounds or 70 hard-earned American dollary dues for the Raam Segol? Well, we'll get to that. If you've been watching several of my videos recently, you know that I've been grinding out the Israeli tech tree. I don't really know why. It's been pain and suffering really. And I was looking forward to the Raam Segol as I thought it would make the grind substantially easier. And in many ways it is easier. It has a fantastic high pen main gun round, but it's let down by its poor mobility and first generation thermal images. But if you'd like to know more about this tank and whether you should buy it or not, be sure to like and subscribe, as well as watch to the end of the video. So let's talk about the first weakness of the Macabre, and it's the same for pretty much every Macabre in War Thunder, and that is the mobility. The tank weighs 65 tons, and with a power to weight ratio of 18.5 due to its engine power of 1200 horsepower, the tank isn't great to drive, I'm not going to lie to you. It feels very sluggish, especially going up hills or trying to turn on the spot. All this for a battle rating 11.0 vehicle, it kind of feels like playing one of the 8.0 heavy tanks. It just feels very sluggish and not really fun to play in my opinion. It can reach a top speed of 60 km per hour though, which is quite good, and it has a very good reverse speed of 26 km per hour. But apart from that, it is very hard to say anything nice about the Macabre's mobility, as it does feel kind of like playing a Challenger 2, but it costs you $60 to play. Moving on to the survivability, and the first thing to mention is that this tank has a crew of 4 men. A driver in the front of the vehicle and a gunner, commander and loader located in the fighting compartment. Like every other Macabre, we do also have a frontally mounted engine. This means we don't really have any sort of composite armor on the hull of the vehicle. This, in real life, the Israelis cope and say it provides extra protection, but in reality, or at least in War Thunder, it just kind of creates more spalling. This means a shot to the hull of the tank, which is almost certainly where enemies are going to shoot you, as the turret is a little bit of a weird design. It is likely going to kill you in a single hit, if not knocking out at least 2 of your crew members. And if you get hit, you always get engine killed as well, so you're always either dead or stuck in one spot, which means you're probably going to be dead shortly anyway. If we take a look at this image featuring our armor, we can see that we don't really have too much composite. only really being present on the side of the turret and some strips on the side of the hull as well. The front of the turret is a little bit quirky and you can't really say what armor thickness it is because it's different in every location, but the turret armor is nothing to write home about. It just looks scary because it's all angled, but at battle rating 11.3 and 11.0, there are many enemies which can basically lol pen this vehicle, especially the Sprut M with its 3BM60 or the T90A again with its Svenets 2 round. As I said with my Merkava Mark II D review, the tank basically was very hard to kill when it was first introduced, as no one really knew how to counter it, but because we've got so much high power Sable at top tier now, it's basically a point and click adventure when you see a Merkava. You can basically low pen it anywhere, especially on its upper frontal plate. Despite it being incredibly highly angled, you can just still go straight through it like a hot knife through butter. Speaking of which, let's take a look at this tank's gun against its own weapon, and you can see that we can basically lol pen ourselves anywhere, despite not really having the highest Sable at top tier, but we can go straight through. I will say that one of the tank strengths is that the crew are placed kind of weirdly about the tank. It's very hard to kill it in a single hit. You are usually going to knock out either the loader and the driver or the gunner and commander, which if anything just pisses you off before you die. Taking a look at a down tier against the DM23 fired by the Leopard 2, one of the biggest premium or one of the best selling premiums in War Thunder. Neither a range of 500 meters, you can see that we can basically lol pen our upper frontal plate as well. So even in a down tier, you are going to be lol penned. And the Leopard 2 Panzer Battalion, the Leopard 2A4, it's probably its biggest weakness is still only using that DM23 round, whereas most other vehicles are moving up to like DM33. So in my opinion, the survivability of the Merkavas is absolutely dog shit. It kind of looks like a big, scary Mastiff dog, but in reality, it's just a little Shih Tzu. Just like most of the other Merkavas in game, we are certainly not short on firepower. We have 2 rifle caliber machine guns mounted on top of the vehicle, as well as a 50 caliber as well. This is pretty good for shooting at helicopters as well as lightly armored vehicles, especially the side of annoying vehicles like the Beglite Panzer. At point blank range, you can penetrate it with a 50 cal. But moving on to the gun, it is the 120mm IMI MG251. It's a license-built copy of the Rheinmetall 120L44. We can carry 46 rounds of ammunition in total, with only 5 of those rounds being classed as first stage ammunition. This is a little bit of a downside, because if you're firing round after round, then it is going to lead to a longer reload after just 5 rounds being fired. Kind of similar to the British Challengers, which only have a 3-round ready rack. It's not that bad though. Another negative in my opinion is the vertical guidance or the gun depression. We only have 7 degrees, which does limit your ability to peak ridge lines as well as go hull down, but we do at least get 20 degrees of gun elevation. Some more W's is the turret traverse rate of 34 degrees per second with an ace crew. This is very fast and does allow you to get the gun on target very quickly. We also have a 15 degrees per second of vertical targeting speed, basically how fast the gun goes up and down. But one of the downsides is the reload rate. With a stock crew, it's going to take 7.8 seconds, but with an ace crew, it comes down to 6 seconds. While not as slow as the T72s, as well as the T80s, it is still quite a long reload for top tier, especially with the Abrams, Challenger 2s, Type 90Bs, and the Leclercs all now having pretty short reloads. Kind of a downside is the gunner's optic. This is a 6x base zoom and a optional 12x zoom. This is kind of zoomed in for my liking. I prefer quite shallow zooms, I guess, or low power zooms as standard. The 6x zoom does make it quite hard to fight in urban areas, especially built up cities. You can't really hold a corner, as an enemy can rush around at high speed and basically just throw off your aim. The commander's sight is a bit better with a standard 2x zoom and an optional 8x zoom, but I personally do not use the commander's sight. The gunner also has a first generation thermal imager, but the commander's sight still uses a regular IR image intensifier. In terms of our ammunition, our stock round is the M325 heater fast shell. There's no real reason to use this, but it does penetrate just under 500mm of armor. You also have the M339 high explosive time fuse shell. In War Thunder, this kind of acts like a semi-armor piercing round, as it does allow you to penetrate 65mm of armor. This is just enough to go through the side of most modern main battle tanks, but I still wouldn't really rely on it. It's only got 4.7 kilos of TNT filler, It isn't going to be like a OF26 where you can nuke people. It's kind of a meme round. I'd take 1 or 2 rounds just to be safe, but it's not it's not a meta round. And the start of the Raam Segol is the M322. This is known in game, or it's been in game for quite a while actually. It is the CL1343 round found in the Italian tech tree. That's basically an Italian license produced copy of the M322. So it's a very good round. It's got 580mm of penetration at point blank range, and against armor angled at 60 degrees, it can still penetrate 340mm of armor. I found that the M322 has very good post-pen damage and pretty good damage as well. To be honest with you, I don't really have any downsides about the firepower of the Raam Segol. It's mainly let down by its mobility and survivability. The tank isn't fast enough to get to a good spot at the start of a match. I found myself getting outflanked by many other main battle tanks such as the Leopard 2A4s as well as the Type 90s, even the Leclercs, and the armor isn't good enough to protect you from those tanks as well. So you kind of find yourself getting killed before you actually get into a decent hold down position. You can use it as a sniper on some of the more open, wider maps, but these are quite rare in War Thunder now. And with the only first generation thermal imager, it can be quite hard to spot people at super long range as well. So lads, should you actually buy the Raam Segol? Well, in my opinion, this tank is let down by its mobility really. I've had great fun playing the Makarov Mark 4s. For example, the Makarov Mark 4B, I believe, has a power to weight ratio of 23.1 rather than the 19 of the Raam Segol. This, in my opinion, deals with the lack of mobility. It feels a lot more snappy in terms of acceleration, and it does give the Makarov actually good playstyle. I actually like the Makarov Mark 4. It also has the M338, which I believe is much more powerful than M322. So the Makarov Mark 4B for 0.3 battle rating higher, get much better mobility, a much better gun, and the same bad survivability. So is the Raam Segol worth your money? I'm just going to go ahead and say no, it isn't really. There isn't really a great premium in the Israeli tech tree. That's been true since day one, and it's still true to this day. There's nothing that's really fun. I wouldn't say that the Raam Segol is a terrible tank or even a bad tank. It's just completely unremarkable. It's not really in the meta at top tier because it's mainly based around being fast and being mobile, which the Raam Segol certainly isn't. But it is a reliable killing machine if you can get it hull down, as it does have that fantastic gun and great sabot rounds. Once again, it's just let down by its god-awful mobility. Anyway lads, I'd like to say a big thank you to my channel members, Lola Alphonse, Tans, Duboa LX, Dr. Bob, Tomsa013, RF28 Sama, Schlunty, Van Halen, Diogenes, Econ, and Alan Hacker. Thank you very much lads for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you did, leave a comment saying Spike. If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member by pressing the join button. Check out the Discord server where I frequently squad up with my members and friends, and don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thanks again for watching lads, and I'll see you in the next video.